I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We seemed like the perfect couple, happy, stable on the surface anyway. We had our ups and downs, sure, but nothing major enough to raise alarms. I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. She always played the role of the perfect wife, bitchy when she wanted to be, manipulative sometimes, but ultimately she had me convinced she loved me. Lately, though, I'd noticed her being a little different. Less interested in intimacy, a little more defensive when I'd bring up plans or how her day went. She'd get snappier, dismissive. I'd catch her sneaking off to her phone more often, texting late at night when she thought I was asleep. Nothing concrete, but enough to make me uneasy. I figured maybe it was just work stress or her period or something. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I couldn't shake this feeling that she was hiding something. One night I decided to check our bedroom. Nothing crazy, just a quick glance through her purse, see if she'd left anything suspicious. That's when I saw it. A pair of discarded panties on the floor. Not a big deal, right? But these were different. They weren't ours. They were lacy, expensive looking, and I knew Lisa didn't buy that kind of lingerie. I felt my stomach tight. My instinct was to dismiss it, tell myself maybe she had a friend over or something, but then I noticed the faint scent, some unfamiliar perfume. It hit me like a punch in the gut. I kept quiet for a few days, but the curiosity ate at me. I started noticing more oddities. Her behavior was even more defensive. She'd leave her phone lying around, then quickly snatch it away when I came close. Her GPS history on her phone was the real kicker. I managed to unlock it one night while she was out, and what I saw made my blood run cold. There were multiple entries, places she supposedly never went, hotels, motels, little towns we never discussed. And not just one or two, a whole trail of secret rendezvous. One particular location stood out, a small hotel about 20 miles from our house. GPS coordinates that matched the time she claimed she was at work. That's when I knew she was lying about everything. All those little signs, the little lies, all pointed to one thing. My wife was cheating on me, and she had been doing it for weeks. The worst part, she lied so effortlessly, told me she was working late or hanging out with her friends, all while she was probably screwing her best man, Jake. I confronted her the next day. I was furious, trembling with rage and heartbreak. She looked at me with her bitchy smirk, the kind that made me want to punch her. "What are you talking about, Mike? You're crazy, you're overthinking. I'd never cheat on you," she said, rolling her eyes like I was some paranoid lunatic. But her face told a different story. Her eyes flickered just a little too quickly, her voice faltered, and I saw through her bullshit. She spun some lies about those panties, said they were hers, that I must have mistaken them, like I was stupid enough to believe that. Then she tried to turn it around, saying I was just jealous or insecure. But I was. I knew what I found, and it tore me apart. The fact that she could lie so convincingly, that she thought she could get away with it, made my stomach churn even more. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry all at once. How could she do this? How could she lie so easily? I kept replaying that GPS trail and her lying face. It was like my entire world was collapsing around me. I didn't want to believe it, but deep down I knew I had to face it. My wife, my supposed partner, was sleeping with my best man, Jake, and she had lied to me every step of the way. I didn't know what to do next, but I knew I needed to figure this out fast. After I confronted her, Lisa just shrugged and gave me that damnable smirk again, like I was some kind of fool for suspecting her. She told me I was imagining things, that I was insecure, that she loved me and would never cheat. I could see the contempt in her eyes when she said it, like she thought I was just some pathetic fool who couldn't handle the truth. But I wasn't a fool. I had the evidence, and I was going to let her dismiss it so easily. That night, I decided I had to get more concrete proof. I couldn't just go on feeling this gut-wrenching suspicion. I started digging deeper into her phone, her emails, her messages, anything I could find. That's when I uncovered even more. There were messages between her and Jake, full of flirtation, promises to meet up, and inside jokes that clearly meant more than just friendship. I felt sick reading them, knowing she had been lying to my face while they were planning their secret meetings. I also took some time to think. I couldn't just blow up and accuse her without more proof. I wanted to catch her red-handed, so I set up a little scheme. I hid a GPS tracker in her car, nothing obvious, just enough to monitor her movements. I also started checking her social media profiles more carefully. A few days later, she slipped up. I caught her sending a message to Jake saying she was ready for the next step, whatever that meant. My stomach dropped. This was real. It wasn't just some fling, it was something serious. One evening, she told me she was going out with some friends, and I decided to follow her. I stayed a safe distance, pretending to be just an innocent bystander. She parked at that same hotel again, the one I'd seen her GPS go to. My heart pounding, I waited outside, watching her go inside with Jake. Seeing them together, so close, so intimate, I almost lost it. They looked like a damn couple, not just some friends hanging out. I had enough. I needed to see everything. I waited until they went into their room, then I snuck around to the window. I saw her laughing, touching his arm, leaning into him. I saw her kiss him on the neck. That was it. I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. This was real. My wife was sleeping with my best man, and she had lied to my face about everything. The next morning, I woke up feeling numb. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I was ready. I calmly told her I knew everything about her secret meetings, the hotel, her messages, the GPS trail. Her face went blank for a moment, then she snapped. "You're crazy," she spat. "You're just jealous because I do. Want your boring ass anymore. Jake's just a friend, you're imagining things." Her words were like knives, but I didn't back down. I laid it all out piece by piece and watched her squirm. Her reaction was classic Lisa, defensive, dismissive, trying to shift the blame. She yelled, called me paranoid, accused me of spying on her because I'm insecure. But I saw through it. I knew the truth now, clear as day. I felt betrayed, furious, and crushed all at once. My wife, the woman I loved and trusted, had been lying, cheating, and planning her escape behind my back with my best man. The worst part, she had the nerve to pretend she was innocent. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I kept my composure. I knew I had more to do, but right then, all I felt was a burning desire for justice. After that confrontation, I knew I couldn't just sit around and wait for her to come clean or keep up the charade. I had to think strategically. I wasn't about to let her walk all over me, especially after discovering she'd been sneaking around with Jake, my best friend. The betrayal cut deep. But I also realized I needed a plan that would hit her where it hurt most, and that meant playing her game but on my own terms. First, I started gathering more evidence. I wanted her to see I wasn't messing around anymore. I installed discrete cameras in the living room and the bedroom, just enough to record her coming and going. I also set up a voice recorder on my phone so I could record any further lies or admissions. It was invasive, I know, but at that point I felt like I needed everything on tape. I needed concrete proof that she was cheating, and I needed her to realize I wasn't going to be manipulated anymore. Meanwhile, I started talking to Jake. That was tough because, honestly, I didn't want to believe my best friend was capable of this, but I had to know the full story. I called him under the pretense of needing to talk, and I managed to get him to admit that he'd been sleeping with Lisa for a few weeks now, and they both knew it was wrong. He was nervous, stammering, but I could tell he was just trying to protect her. That's when I decided I had enough. I sent Jake a message, telling him I'd be showing up at the hotel that night with some stuff of my own. That evening, I went to the hotel and I hid in the parking lot, watching through the window as Lisa and Jake cuddled on the bed. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a full-blown invasion of my life and trust. I pulled out my phone, activated the recorder, and snapped a few photos. I knew I needed irrefutable proof if I was going to do something about this. I also recorded her voice as she whispered to Jake, promises about next time and more than just sex. I listened to her lie through her teeth, pretending she didn't do anything wrong. I stayed in the shadows until they left, then I went back home. I was shaken but determined. I knew I had everything I needed now. I was ready to confront her again, but this time I would do it with evidence. Cold, undeniable proof that she'd been sleeping with my best man behind my back. The next day, I sat her down. I played the recordings, showed her the photos, and laid everything out. Her face turned red, then pale. She started cursing, calling me crazy, claiming I was stalking her, that I was jealous and paranoid. I told her I wasn't crazy, that I had proof, and that she was the liar. Her eyes flickered with rage, then she finally cracked a little. She admitted that she'd been tired of our marriage, that she wanted excitement, and Jake made her feel alive again. She said she'd never meant for it to happen, that she was just weak, but that she loved herself more than she loved me. At that moment, I felt a strange mixture of relief and despair. Relief because I finally knew the truth, and despair because I realized our marriage was over. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. The woman I married, the one I trusted, she had lied, cheated, and betrayed everything we stood for. I felt like I was suffocating, but I also knew I had to be strong. I told her I couldn't forgive her, that I wasn't sure if I could ever trust her again. I told her to leave, that I needed space, and she stormed out, bitching and calling me names, trying to guilt-trip me. That night I stayed up thinking about everything. The lies, the betrayal, the heartbreak. I realized that revenge wasn't about hurting her physically or doing something destructive. It was about reclaiming my dignity, standing up for myself, and moving on from the woman who had shattered my world. I knew I'd have to rebuild, to heal, but right then, I felt a strange sense of clarity. I had been blindsided, but I was still standing, and I was finally free from the illusion that I'd built around us. The days that followed were a blur of emotion. I moved out of the bedroom, packed my things, and stayed at a friend's place for a while. The house felt like a stranger's home, silent, empty, full of memories that now seemed toxic. Every corner, every piece of furniture reminded me of what I'd lost. And yet, beneath all that pain, I knew I had to keep going. I had to focus on myself now, rebuild the pieces of a life that had been shattered so suddenly. Lisa called me a few times during that period. At first, she acted like she was the victim, crying, begging me to forgive her, saying she was confused, that she didn't really mean it. She threw around the usual excuses. She was stressed, she was bored, she was stupid. But I wasn't buying it. I could see through her crocodile tears, her manipulative words. Honestly, I felt kind of numb. It was hard to believe that the woman I'd trusted for so long had been capable of this level of deceit. I kept the evidence, of course. The recordings, the photos, the GPS logs, they were my insurance, my proof that I wasn't losing my mind. I started seeing a therapist just to get my head straight and to process what had happened. It was a slow process, but I knew I couldn't let her destroy me completely. I had to stay strong for my own sake. One night, a friend of mine, Mark, came over. We talked for hours. I told him everything, and he listened patiently. Then he looked me in the eyes and said, "You gotta do what's best for you, man. Don't stay in something that's dead already. If she's lying, cheating, and playing games, she's not worth your time. You deserve better." That was a wake-up call. Deep down, I knew Mark was right. I'd been hanging on to hope that she'd change, that she'd come back and admit she loved me. But the truth was, I didn't want to keep pretending. I deserved real honesty, and she'd shown me she couldn't give it. So I started planning my next move. I wanted her to see I wasn't some fool to be played. I started drafting a message, calm, firm, letting her know I knew everything and that I was done. No more lies, no more hiding. I told her I would be taking legal steps to protect myself and that I was filing for divorce. That might seem harsh, but honestly, I felt like I owed it to myself to stand up and claim my life back. I couldn't let her manipulate me anymore. I also realized I wasn't just doing this for revenge. It was about restoring my dignity, showing her that I wasn't going to be a doormat anymore, that I had boundaries and standards. I didn't want her to think she could walk all over me and get away with it. I wanted her to understand the pain she caused, but more than that, I wanted to move on and find someone who truly valued me. Now I'm at a crossroads. I've filed for divorce and I'm waiting for everything to finalize. I won't lie, I feel a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, but there's still a hollow space where my trust used to be. I've learned that sometimes the people closest to you can betray you worst of all. It's a hard lesson, but one I'll carry for the rest of my life. I wish I could say I'm completely healed, but I'm not. Still, I know I'll come out stronger. The biggest thing I've learned: never ignore the little signs. Those odd glances, the lies, the sneaky texts, they all add up. Trust your gut. And don't be afraid to cut out anyone who doesn't respect you or who cheats on you. Because in the end, your happiness and self-respect are what matter most. I might be scarred, but I'm determined to rebuild, and somehow I know I'll be better for it. The whole experience has changed me, no doubt about it. I used to be trusting, maybe a little naive, but now I see the world differently. I've become more guarded, more cautious about who I let in, and I've learned the hard way that not everyone has good intentions, even those closest to you. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I guess it's part of growing up. I've realized that sometimes the people you love and trust the most can deceive you in ways you never imagined. Going through the divorce process was ugly but necessary. Lisa kept trying to guilt me into staying, calling me cold, saying I was overreacting and that she still loved me. But I saw through her act now. Her tears, her apologies, they weren't enough anymore. I didn't want to be with someone who betrayed me so deeply. It was about self-respect. I had to do what was right for me, even if it hurt like hell. One of the strangest things I've noticed is how much lighter I feel now that everything's out in the open. There's this strange sense of relief, like I finally took control of my life back. I don't wake up wondering what she's hiding anymore. I don't have to sneak around or doubt her every word. It's a process, sure, and I still feel the sting sometimes, but I know I've made the right choice. I'm learning to forgive myself for trusting her, even if I don't fully forgive her for what she did. I've also started dating again slowly. Nothing serious, just some casual dates here and there. Honestly, it's weird to put myself out there after all I've been through, but I know I deserve someone who is honest, loyal, and loving. I've become more selective, more aware of red flags. I don't want to make the same mistake again. There's a part of me that's wary, scared even, but I remind myself that this pain won't last forever. I'm healing piece by piece. Looking back, I think the biggest lesson I've learned is about self-worth. I used to think love meant forgiving everything, ignoring the signs just to keep someone happy. But now I realize that real love isn't about tolerating lies or cheating. It's about respect, honesty, and mutual trust. If those aren't there, then whatever you have isn't worth holding on to. I'll never forget what happened, but I refuse to let it define me. Instead, I choose to grow from it. So, to anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, and never settle for less than you deserve. Your happiness is worth more than any apology or excuse. It's a tough road, no doubt, but you'll come out stronger on the other side. Just hold onto that hope, keep moving forward, and remember, your worth isn't determined by someone else's actions. It's about how you choose to handle what life throws at you. And I'm finally choosing to rebuild, to start over, and to believe that better days are ahead. Now, looking back, I realize that everything I went through, every lie, every betrayal, was a brutal but necessary lesson. It shattered my trust, my image of what my marriage was supposed to be, but it also forced me to confront myself in ways I never had before. I've learned that strength isn't about never falling apart. It's about picking yourself up afterward and refusing to let someone else's betrayal define your entire life. The biggest thing I've taken away from this mess is that honesty and loyalty are the cornerstones of any real relationship. Without them, you're just holding onto a ghost of what once was. I don't regret uncovering the truth, even if it cost me everything I thought I knew. I'd rather face the painful reality than live in a lie. I've come to understand that sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself again. Today, I'm focusing on healing. I've started seeing a counselor regularly, working on my self-esteem and rebuilding my confidence. I've realized that I don't need someone who lies and cheats to feel valued. I deserve someone who respects me, who genuinely loves me for who I am. I'm not rushing into anything new, but I'm open to the future. The kind of future where I'm the one in control, where I choose how I'm treated, and where I don't settle for anything less than honesty. This experience has made me more cautious, yes, but also more resilient. I don't trust blindly anymore, but I trust myself to recognize what's right and what's wrong. I've learned that sometimes love isn't enough. You need respect, loyalty, and a partner willing to fight for you, not against you. And if those things are missing, it's better to walk away than to keep pretending everything is okay. To anyone reading this who might be facing something similar, I want to say, don't ignore the signs, trust your gut. And if someone is cheating, lying, or betraying you, cut them loose. It hurts like hell at first, but it's the only way to truly heal and move forward. There's life after betrayal, and there's happiness waiting for you on the other side. You just have to have the courage to walk away, rebuild, and remember your worth. Because no one has the right to diminish that. Not even the person you once loved most.